Hello guys, this quick video is to explain you how to go about taking Abhyaas mock test series, Abhyaas GRE mock test series to be specific, right? The very reason why I call this 10 steps to your dream score is because these 10 GRE mock tests will help you surely get closer to your dream score, because this will give you an experience, the exact experience how the main exam is going to be. Right? So this is this very simple reason why we very strongly believe that these 10 steps, these 10 mock tests could very successfully take you closer to your dream score. Now, how useful are these tests? A lot of people ask this question, is the mock test going to really help me when I look at the main GRE test series or the main GRE test? But the three simple first reasons that I'm going to give you for you to take these mock tests are practice, practice, and practice. The more you practice, the more you will be in control of this entire test, and that is something that you want to have before you go for the main test. Right? Now, apart from this practice, the confidence that you will draw from the fact that the main GRE won't actually be your first GRE test, but it's actually going to be the 11th GRE test. Now that is some kind of confidence, that is some kind of advantage you have over anybody else, right? The better scoring range. Now, in Abhyaas classroom sessions, we have always emphasized on the fact that knowing your scoring range is something that will help you use your score effectively. Right? At the end of the GRE test, you can actually send across your scorecard to 4 universities, and having a good understanding of the range in which you are scoring will help you pick the best in that certain score range. For example, if you are scoring around 305 in the mock test series, what we have observed is students who take 7 or more tests, their average mock test series score is a ±5 of their main GRE test. Okay? So if you are regularly getting a 305 in the mock test series, you should actually create your list of colleges in the range 300 to 310. Right? And knowing this range, as I said, will help you pick the best possible colleges to which you could apply, instead of applying to colleges which are less than 300 or colleges that expect more than 310, which brings down your chances of getting an I-20 from that specific university. So this scoring range is something that will enable you to apply to the best colleges in the score range that you get. Right? So this is why we emphasize on the fact that you should take a lot of mock tests. Now, the moment I explain that, the very next question is, okay, fine, I am ready to take mock tests, but why should I take an Abhyaas test series? The first reason that I'm going to give you is the interface and the features. Now, the interface is important to you because when you take a certain test, when you take a certain mock test 10 times, you become comfortable with all the features that are available. Very quickly, I will explain you what are the different features you have, what is the interface that you will be facing when it comes to the main GRE test. That will throw better light on this point. Then the numbers. When we talk about Abhyaas mock test series, we are talking about not 1, not 2, but 10 full-length GRE mock tests. This number is surely your strength. Take this test for 10 times and the 11th could as well be a cakewalk. The standard of questions and solutions, this is again something that I'll take you on a tour to the login ID, and you'll get a sense of what are the kind of questions you come across there. Okay, this is something that Abhyaas test prep team takes a lot of pride in, because we make sure that you get the best possible quality. And then comes the important part of the analysis. Now, it's very easy for me to tell that your certain answer is wrong, a certain answer is right, but the solution and the analysis will help you understand why is the answer wrong and how often are you going wrong in a certain kind of question. Because unless and until the analysis is appropriate, you won't really be in a position to make the right kind of changes to your approach or bring about the right kind of remedy to correct those errors. Now, let me take you to the login ID. Okay, as I said, you'll see there are 10 GRE mock tests you can take before you go for the main exam. So, first thing, first two tests is something that I've taken. I've tried testing a few features. So, I'm going to launch the third GRE mock test. Okay, so I click on the launch button. Okay, I'm clicking on the launch button, and the moment I click, the system goes through a basic check, right? After which it will directly take me to the instructions. Now, these are the general instructions that you'll come across even in the main exam. So, spend a little time in this. Do make sure that you read these instructions carefully, because a slight change in this and if it goes unnoticed, you might just end losing a few questions, losing a few marks. So please make sure you spend a little time understanding the information and the instruction, even if you feel you know what this is all about, but do read this. Now, next I need to click on continue. Okay, I click on continue, and then this test takes me to the verbal reasoning part where I have 20 questions, and to answer them I have 30 minutes, right? So again, a small general instruction, please go through them quickly and then click on continue. Be very careful not to click on quit test, because if you quit test, it will take you out of the entire test. That means the system will understand that you have already taken the certain mock test, right? So which is not the case. So please be very careful and click on continue. Now, the moment I click on continue, it takes me to the first question of the verbal ability section. So if you take a look at the left up corner, it's mock test 3, the one that I launched, section 1 out of section 5. Now, question 1 out of 20, rightly so, this is the first question that I'm answering. And also be very careful of this little clock that you have, top right corner, right? So I've spent 30 seconds in this section already. Now, by the look of it, it very clearly is a text completion kind of a question, right? I have 3 options for blank 1 and 3 options for blank 2. And this is let me just click some option. Alright, I just clicked two random answers. I'm not very sure whether this is the answer. Now let us take a look at the buttons that we have here. I've already explained the quit test. Never ever do that unless and until you have the right reasons to do so. Next is the exit section. The moment you click this, it will throw a pop-up which will confirm whether you really want to exit this section. I don't want to exit this section, because the moment I exit this section, I will be taken to the second section of the total 5 sections that we have in this mock test, right? So I really don't want to quit right now. Now, then I have this review button, I have the mark button and the next button. Now, I've already marked my answers here, so I'll just click on the next button to see what's the next question. Now, be very careful of these buttons that you have here. These round buttons are called the radio buttons. This is for questions which have only one right answer, right? So this is a single blank text completion kind of question. So that's the reason why it has a radio button. Now, I'll just click some option, not very sure, right? Now, so we know how the next button works, we know how the quit test button works, we know how the exit section button works. Now let me click on review. What exactly is this review? The moment I click on review, it will take me to this page where I will very clearly know what are the questions that I have already answered. Right? So the first 2 questions are something that I've answered. So now if I very often, like after doing 15 questions or 10 questions or so, if you want to see how many questions you have actually answered, how many you haven't, you can actually take a look at this. You can click the review button and take a look at the status. Now, I've done the first 2. I want to go to the third question. I'll click on the third one and I say go to the question. It will take me to the third question. Now, this is a 3 blank text completion kind of question. So I click 3 options, but I am not very sure about the answer. So what I can do, I can just select my answers. As you saw, I selected my answers. After that, I select mark. Okay, just because I'm not very sure about these answers, I want to come back and see whether I want to recheck these answers, I want to rethink this question. So I will just mark this question and then go on with the next question. So the next question is an RC, right? So I'll just read the passage, something that we explain how to go about in the strategy classes. We practice a lot of them in the class. So I'll just go through the passages and select my answer, right? Right, I've marked this. I click next, right? Right, so this is again a text completion kind of question. I select them. Now let me take a look at the review. Okay, now I have answered 5 questions, and of those 5 questions, I've marked one for review, right? So I'm not very convinced with that answer when I marked it, so I can always mark it, and just because I marked it, I can go back to that question and okay, now I feel this is the right answer, so I have answered it. I can remove the mark, and then now I go to review and see, right, the mark is removed. Okay, so this is how you can go about answering all the questions. Okay, right? So I've explained you a few questions. This is again a multiple blank text completion, right? This is an RC which you can answer. Now, look at this question very, very carefully. When I said the round radio buttons were for answers questions which have one correct answer, you see here you have a square button, right? Right? So these square buttons signify that this question does not have only one right answer but multiple right answers. Now let's take a look at the question, right? Evaluate each option independently and choose all that apply. That means, right? It could be so. It could be so that all the 3 are the right answer. Could be 2 right answer. It could be just 1 right answer. But you have to choose all the questions that apply. So here I feel that all 3 of them are applicable. So I select it. Right? So we have discussed what is this quit test. We have discussed what is exit section. We have discussed what's review, what's mark, what's back, what's next, what's a radio button, and what's a square button. Right? So this is the interface that you will come across in the main exam. Right? This is like a sentence equivalence question. How do I know that? Because there are 6 options. Point number 1. And the second, there are square option boxes. That means there are more than one right answer, and in sentence equivalence you always have more than one right answer. So just select this as answer. Right? Now I feel I should move on to the next section so that I explain the other features in the maths part as well. So just to explain you how this test series is about, I am going to exit this section and I say okay. Right? Okay, now this very rightly so, it says I'm done with the first section, so I'm being taken to the second section, which is the quantitative reasoning, and you can always verify in the top left corner which says section 2 of 5. Okay, now be very carefully read the instructions. Right, now I've read the instructions. You have 20 questions, 35 minutes. Okay, I click on continue. Right. This is again the buttons are the same except for the fact that you have a calculator here, right? Once I come across a question in which I would need the calculator, I'll show you how to use the calculator, right? So there is only one kind of right answer here. So radio buttons, I pick one, I move on, right? Radio buttons, only one kind of answer, I pick one, I move on, right? So this is something that's very common even in the verbal section. We came across those radio buttons. Now let's take a look at this question. Okay, I have to answer this question based on the graph, the charts that I have. Now I can do the calculation and enter my value directly, or I can also use the calculator to do my whatever calculation I want to do. Okay? And if I feel this is the right answer, if I feel this is the answer that I want to feed into this box, I can use, instead of going over and typing the right answer, right, I can use this tab called the transfer display, right? I've calculated 2437.5 as my answer, so I click on transfer display and it directly goes to the answer box. If you're doing calculations on paper, you can directly enter it, or if you're using a calculator, you can directly transfer the display to the answer box, right? So this is one feature, right? The calculator feature, and now we know how to use it. So let's go across. And surprisingly so, in mathematics, I'm pretty sure you won't come across questions where there could be multiple answers, right? So all of them are going to be single answer questions. Now, I can, as usual, I can mark this for review. The same feature is still active in the quant section as well, right? So I've answered a few questions, I've not answered a few questions, I've kept one for, I've marked this certain question for review. So I can, as I said, you can go back, you can review the answer and then unmark it and move on. Okay, so this is exactly how this test series is going to be all about. So I'll quickly exit this section as well. I say OK, right? I exit the second section as well. So I'm now at the verbal reasoning part, which is the third section. So I click on continue, blah blah blah. We know how to go about it now, right? Again, I see square boxes. I'm very conscious. Evaluate each option independently and choose all that applies. So maybe there are two right answers. So I select them, I move on. Okay, this is how we go about this entire test. Okay, now I want to quit this test, okay, so that I can show you the analysis and the solution part of this test. Okay, so I said okay. All right. So this takes me to the screen where it says GRE Mock Test 3. I have a scorecard, I have a performance analysis, and I have an option to take me back to the dashboard, right? So I hope you perform brilliantly well in all the mocks, but let me see what's the scorecard like. The scorecard, as it says, verbal reasoning, I got a 131, quantitative reasoning a 130, right? Now, the interesting part, let's check the performance analysis. Okay? Now, it very clearly says, I have a section-wise analysis, I have an area-wise analysis, and I have a question-wise analysis. Okay. Now, if I click on area-wise analysis, what are the different types of questions in verbal ability, text completion, reading comprehension, sentence equivalence? The number of questions there were, and how many of them did I get right? Okay. So this will very clearly give a picture of which area or which question type is my strength or my weakness, right? So, okay, right. I'll take you to the question-wise analysis, right? So, what are the different types of questions, right? The subject, verbal ability, area name, text completion, 2 blank, 1 blank, 3 blank, single response. All different types of questions are charted, and the status. How did I fare in them? Another very interesting indicator that we have incorporated is the time taken. Okay, right? There was a certain question which had 2 blanks, a text completion, and I spent 2.9 minutes in it, which is a criminal wastage of time, because if I spend this amount of time in a single question of this type, I really won't have time for the other question. So based on this, you can always go back and change your strategy or your approach to certain questions, right? So let me just go back to the dashboard. Alright. So we've seen the report, the question wise, the section wise report on how did I perform in this test. Now, once I've taken the test, it's not that I can't go and check the questions. I can always click on review, right? And once I click on review, it's like checking what is the test, the question and all about. Now that I've taken this test already, it very clearly marks what was right, what was wrong, and it doesn't stop with that. It also gives me a detailed explanation on why is that the right answer. Okay, this is a very important tool, because once you take a test and once you realize that you've gone wrong in these questions, it's important for you to know why was your answer wrong, and bingo, you have the explanation part here as well, right? So for all questions, for all the questions that you have, you'll have the right answers marked and an explanation as to why is that certain answer wrong. Okay, so this is how you can always go back and review your performance, and now that we know, we can always go back and also check the section-wise performance in each of these tests. Okay, so this is exactly how the test is going to be, and you can take 10 tests of this type before you go for the main test. Okay, so I hope I have rightly explained you the advantage of the right kind of interface, all the features that are part of this test, the 10 tests that are available, right, and the standard of the questions, the solutions, right, and most importantly, the analysis. Okay, so you're still looking for a reason? Ta-da! I seriously don't feel you should wait for something else to happen. Go ahead, grab this test series, make sure you write all the 10, give it the right kind of importance, go through the review, check the analysis, and prepare yourself for the GRE like nobody else could have. Right? So, I hope I've managed to explain you what is this test series all about. In case you still have any queries, please write to us at abhyaasgreprep@gmail.com. You can write into us at this mail ID, and we'll try and respond to you max within a day or two, and I hope you make use of this facility to the maximum possible. Right? So all the very best for the test series. Make sure you write all of them, make the most out of it. Thank you.